Sweet. Yeah, hell yeah. I think we'll be all good to get it rocking and rolling, Jimmy. Appreciate everyone finding some time out of their Sunday. I know Sundays are difficult and it's usually a rest and relax day. So I appreciate everyone finding the time in their schedule, joining on today's call. Today should be good. I know Jimmy has got a good discussion group and everything going for us today, so I'm excited.
Micah, did you want to talk about just the event?
Yeah,
Just
no,
kind of
yeah,
real
of
quick.
course. The event, so to kick off the meeting, I know for you guys that are in Arizona, we're gonna be having the event at TG on Tuesday. Starts at 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So any of you guys, I think everyone here is in Arizona, so I hope to see everyone there. And then we also just got word that we're gonna be at another event in Colorado too on the 7th of June at Pursuit Training Facility in Greeley, Colorado. And I think Garrett is the only one this will be relative to, but I'll talk to him about that. I mean, so and then today's topic is just embracing change, just kind of like a good segue into like the entire rebrand of everything that we did, just embracing the change of the brand. And I'll let Jimmy take the conversation away.
Okay, yeah. So, um, what we're gonna do today is just basically have an open conversation about embracing change. And just kind of go through some questions and like uh see like where the relevance lies for each one of us. Um, First question that I'm gonna start you guys off with is, can you remember a time in your life when change felt like a threat but turned out to be a gift? Um, and I guess just to kind of start off, one example of that for me that just immediately kind of came to mind was when I was 17, I qualified for American Ninja Warrior, which is like a TV show. And um, it was one of like the most exciting things that ever happened to me. And I qualified for it. And this was like 2 months before COVID. And then in that same time frame, I tore my ACL in my left knee. And basically, like here, it seemed like something amazing was about to happen. And I had been training for it for so long, and it seemed like the stars were aligning, and then I tore my ACL, and then I had to, and then COVID happened, and then those two things combined caused that season of American Ninja Warrior to get canceled. I ended up competing in the next season, and then when I did compete, which was like, uh, 6 or 7 months later, I guess it was the same season, but it was the competition was happening later. My surgeon told me that I still should not compete on the show, like I still shouldn't do it. And so, um, what also happened is I had to leave Phoenix and I had to go back to my hometown, which I did not want to do at all. And like so much changed all at once, and I guess I kind of had a choice there where it felt like everything was very threatening and it felt like all the changes that were happening to me were horrible. But once I got back home and I really assessed the situation, um, I realized that I could take all of those like horrible things and turn it into something that was better. So I started training. Like despite my injury, I started training as best as I could for the next season. Told my surgeon I was still going to do it, and then I took that period of time, which was COVID, to learn a new instrument, to work on like my goals and just make my body better, my diet, everything. And essentially just turned what seemed like something horrible into kind of like a blessing. And it really worked out. Like in the long run, it ended up being really awesome. So that's just like the first example, I guess, that comes to my mind. And this being an open discussion, like I would really love to hear, uh, I guess, times in your guys' lives that change felt like a threat, but actually ended up being something positive.
Do you feel like when you hurt yourself, it like inspired you to want to be a trainer? Because I feel like that was very relative to my life. Like all the injuries that I got in, all the injuries I've had, and all the things I learned inspired my passion for what I was going to do later in life. And I feel like that's the whole reason I even started training in the first place was like trying to help people prevent everything that happened to me, but also find the solution faster than I found it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it forced me to overcome like a serious injury basically completely on my own. And I had to learn a lot to be able to do that. And then once I did start my training business, it's like that knowledge served me really well. I don't know. I guess it's interesting because it's a lot of suffering, but that I mean like suffering is growth in most cases, or it can be.
Yeah, for sure. I know I can speak for a decent amount of people. We talked about it, I want to say 2 or 3 calls too. Jimmy, I know you can relate to this. Logan was able to relate to this. I know Caleb's able to too. Like Mike personally, that kind of answered the question too, was when I kind of had to cut my parents out of my life, for a positive thing. I was going through the moment of I was becoming a therapist to my parents. They were coming to me for everything, complaining about each other back and forth to me. I was this annoying middleman, right? And it felt like a threat of just like, I don't want to cut my parents out of my life. I don't want to have to have this hard conversation with them, right? Ultimately, I had to go through it, and it definitely ended up being a gift because now we have a much better relationship than I ever could have asked for. I had to push them away in a way for us to kind of miss each other and realize, yeah, the relationship that we can have and what we missed. So obviously, yeah, just like pushing my parents away definitely felt like a threat, but now we've gotten closer because of it. It just time would tell, the relationship was able to mend, something like that. So that was my kind of personal opinion on that side. Just pushing my parents away for a better relationship. Definitely felt like a threat at the beginning. Ended up being a great gift I could have asked more for.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess sometimes you have to take steps towards the scary change. Like it seems like it's such a threatening thing to step towards, but you have to step towards it anyway in order to, I guess,
For sure.
reap
The
the
immediate response is definitely going to be negative and like, dang it, like I don't want to do this. But then, yeah, time will tell eventually how long it takes until, yeah, you overcome that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's tough too because it's family and you can only, you don't want to separate your family so much from you, but you can only help somebody so much as well. So it's really tough to have that fine line in between.
Sure, for sure. Yes, family makes it way harder. Friends are definitely way easier to do that with.
Yeah. Anyone else want to add their kind of input or something recently that has Ale?
A couple years ago, I guess almost 3 years ago now, some of y'all know, I was living up in Canada for like 10 years. And about 3 years ago, I decided to leave. I'd been kind of on the fence, walking the line of making that decision for a couple years. And I was in a small town and wanted to grow and expand. And I didn't feel like I had the space to do that or give myself the permission to do that with the people that knew a past version of me. So I decided to leave my home, my business, my friends, all my family that was up there and come back to the States. And I didn't really know where I'd land, but through that decision, it's led me to becoming a bodybuilder, starting my posing business, meeting all of you guys, moving all over the place. And I eventually too did land back in Arizona and have had new connections and new relationships building with my parents. So I really relate to that too, of needing to distance yourself for a certain period of time from what was your normal to create a new normal and then kind of reintroduce different aspects from that past version of yourself so that you can integrate those new lessons. Because I think when you're challenged by past version of you or people from a past version of your life, it shows how much growth you've had since then.
Oh yeah.
For
Holy
sure.
crap, I didn't realize you were in Canada 10 years.
It was like 15 total. I was back and forth my whole life.
Oh wow. Wait, so how did you end up in Arizona? Like, why was this the place that you ended up landing?
This is where I was born, and I lived here when I was a kid. And then my whole family moved up to Canada for a few years when I was a kid. We all moved back to Arizona. And then I went back up to Canada by myself at 15, went to boarding school, stayed up there for the rest of high school, college, a few years after, and then came back here because I wanted to be back with my parents. After being away for as long as I was, it was really easy to be kind of entitled in my position and feel like I didn't need anybody. And as I get older, I realize although I may not need them in certain ways, I still need them. Like they're my parents, everybody's just getting older. So appreciating the time that you have while you have it, making the most of it, being grateful, wanted to be back. And now it's nice. I'm like right in between both my parents. So I see them all the time, which is such a blessing after not being in the same country for so long.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And then how did you said it sparked the start of your posing business and your training business and everything else. I guess in what way like did embracing the change like lead to those things?
I was still living up there and had made the decision that I wanted to move, but I kind of just woke up one day after being inspired by looking at different fitness accounts, bodybuilder accounts on Instagram, and was like, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? And I had started getting into my fitness journey. And by deciding to get into it super seriously, getting a coach, doing all the things that really inspired me to expand my reach with that, get educated, start building my own roster because I had friends and family asking me to help them. So it was a really natural kind of segue, if you will. And then, yeah, I don't know, just one thing after another, just allowing life to kind of direct me where I was meant to go, ended up doing what I'm doing now. And I honestly feel like by kind of letting life do its thing, I ultimately ended up in a life that honestly felt like a dream only a couple of years ago. So it's pretty cool what can happen when you just trust the process.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Great.
Did anyone want to add anything into that or give their something that they did that seemed like a threat but actually ended up being a positive change?
Um, I'm in bed, so you don't need to see that. But I'll just kind of share. Mine is the same with injuries. In 2022, I sneezed and bulged L405, L5S1, and it was excruciating pain, and I couldn't touch my toes, and I couldn't put pants on, and it was crippling. And I remember this conversation with the chiropractic that I was working with because I was working at a place and then I ended up having to call in to get help. He goes, "Hey kid, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this right now, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to enhance your ability to connect with people on such a deeper level that you're going to have no idea." And I didn't understand that conversation until I became a bodywork therapist and I'm able to connect with people that also have excruciating pain. And it goes to show just communicating with my mentor that whenever she in her lumbar disc pain, even she sends them to me. She taught me what I know, but she sends them to me only because I can connect with them on that level and have empathy and know where they come from. So it's just, I mean, the more you share with people, the more you connect. So it's just crazy. And
Yeah.
that we all have these experiences in one shape or way or form.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that it's almost like getting injured helps you understand others more deeply,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because everyone goes through injury, like to some degree. At least I think most people get injured at some point or another, especially like in the fitness industry. But it's like if you never go through anything like that, it's so hard to understand people who are in that kind of pain. I mean, it sounds like did you like use that experience to get into the current field that you're in?
100%. The field that I wanted to get into was sparked because I already had to go to physical therapy 5 times throughout my softball career for various different things. So I knew in the back of my head it was helping people to some degree, whether if it was PT or athletic trainer, or I had no idea bodywork therapy was even a thing back then. So I just kind of slithered my way into that, and it has changed my life in the way I can connect to people and the way I can connect to athletes. And then recently I had another flare up with shingles that attacked my disc bulge. And again, it has sparked another series in my head of I want to make a program that can help people, and I'm qualified to do this because I can listen to people, and that's the biggest thing. Like, no, I'm not a doctor. No, I can't diagnose you, but I can hear you out and I can have empathy for you and I will listen on another level that other people won't understand, which is
Yeah,
just insane to me.
Spirit,
yeah, there's
best coach and teacher. Like no one else can relate. You can
Hmm.
relate the closest to them than anyone else can. Someone might have the best knowledge and the best teaching in the world, but you can actually relate 100%.
Yeah. So it sucks. It sucks, but we appreciate it. And then, I mean, and not everyone has had injuries like that. So just switch it to trauma. The more you share about trauma, Micah and I have had discussions about this, and it's just the more you share and the more you're vulnerable, it feels not embarrassing, but it feels very spotlight when you share your scars. But the more you do, the more you know that we all have them, and then we all put on a face and we all are strong and get over it. But there's things that we have all dealt with that can connect us to each other if we just open up about it.
Facts. 100%.
I totally agree. I think like based on like the conversation that we're having right now, like injury is the same as trauma. Like you're going through some things and you're showing people the process of how to recover. And trauma is exactly the same way. When you share your story, you're showing them the process to recovery so they can get better at a faster rate. That's why sharing your story and being vulnerable is so valuable for other people.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Did anyone else want to add to that or kind of talk about their own threatening decision or change that ended up being positive?
Mine's pretty similar to that. My big change was when I got injured from playing baseball. I tore my labrum with 2 months left to my last season. And so instead of being able to kind of go out the way I wanted to, it was kind of just like right off the bat, just at a halt out of nowhere. And so for a long time, I was lost. Really struggled to kind of figure out where I fit and understanding that the sport wasn't my identity. It was just something I like to do. Whereas when I was playing, it was 100% my identity the whole time. And so took time kind of relearning how to train in the gym in ways that didn't just go towards results on a baseball field, whereas more just like feeling better, staying active, stuff like that. That was when I hired my coach, Mike. And then that kind of just snowballed into me doing my first show, getting more into bodybuilding. Now I'm a posing coach, so I'm like all the way into it. I enjoy every second of it. And then it also kind of brought different like little bits of change throughout that time period where it was like more adjustments, graduating and moving back home, trying to readjust living life outside of college, ending a relationship and trying to kind of relearn who I am outside of a relationship, understand like what I want in a significant other, as well as with friendships, relationships with family members, stuff like that. And so I think it was just like being able to take the last 2.5, 3 years to kind of just relearn who I am and understand what I like to do outside of baseball, outside of what I used to know as my identity. And so like my plan is moving to Arizona. Obviously, the majority of you or all of you know that. And the only thing that's kind of held me back is the job that I'm doing now is very similar to Nays in the sense that I can relate to athletes right now who are going through injuries. I have 5 guys who are within a year post-op from Tommy John surgery on their elbow. And so having those hard talks with high school and college kids to be like, hey, like understand that you're in the perfect time to have these injuries because it could be worse. You could be 2 months away from your career being done, and then you get injured where it's like halt, stop. Like you guys can get through this, come back better. And I have a kid who, before he got injured, wasn't even throwing 80, and now he's 8 months post-op and he's sitting 86 to 88 miles an hour off the mound. And like he comes in every single day so excited because of the fact that he didn't even think that that was possible, but because we were able to help him physically but also mentally, it's just like very rewarding in that aspect.
Yeah. Sometimes I do wonder, like, it almost feels like it's almost necessary. Like sometimes you can get too comfortable with who you are as an athlete or who you are just in general, and then it takes a freaking injury for you to be like, oh, suffering exists and I do need to like, and then it gives you something to overcome, and then once you overcome it, it's like oftentimes you come out the other end stronger. I do sometimes wonder like how necessary is that, you know? But
For real. I mean,
yeah,
it asked me the question too, where your sister asked me, Emily or Jimmy, Emily, she asked me, she's like, if you could go back and change all that stuff you did when you were younger, like, would you and stuff? Like, of course, back then, like, I relate to the baseball stuff too. Once I got injured, my goal was to be in MLB, in the show, like, I was gonna be it. And then, yeah, I got injured, completely had to re-identify with everything. But I mean, looking back at it now, of course, if my 18-year-old self back then would be like, no, I'm definitely not going to that practice where I get injured. I'm definitely sticking the right path. But now, if you were to ask me now, like I'm very grateful for where I'm at today, and it's because of all the other struggles and hardships that I went through in the past. Like, so now if you were to ask me, would you change anything? Like, no, I wouldn't. Like, I love where I'm at, and I feel like if I changed any of those hardships in the past, as much as they suck and I wouldn't want to go through again, they brought me to where I'm at today, and I'm very grateful for it. So it's hard to say if I would want to change anything, you know?
Yeah.
And even
No.
just thinking like you would not be the person, the friend, the coach, the man, the myth, the legend without those traumatic things. Like take that injury out, you probably wouldn't have the wisdom and the empathy and the patience you have for your athletes that you do today. It's just so cool to think about. It sucks, yeah, but it's so cool the way our brains work and our healing works.
And
One of
especially,
the
Yeah.
one of the things that I had always gotten was like I through my time was always seeing the same clip of the idea of like if one door shuts, that doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's shut forever, but it also means that there's other doors that are going to be wide open for you. You're just going to kind of keep looking down the hallway and find those open doors. So it's almost a sign for a lot of people. I know, like I've seen my injury and all of the stuff that's gone on with me the last 2 years as just multiple signs of it's not meant for you anymore. It doesn't serve you anymore. Now this does. Go after this, or these friends aren't for you anymore. Here's new friends that you get to be around, stuff like that.
Absolutely. There's a quote that I like is viewing rejection as divine redirection. So when you hit
Yeah.
that door, you look for the next open one. And the light might not be on, so you gotta still fiddle around to find it.
oh, great. I like that second part. Fiddle around to find it.
Yep.
Real, real. Yeah, I feel like the common denominator between all these is just going through shitty parts of life and suffering. Well,
Pretty
we
much.
gotta be pulled back to be launched forward.
I feel like those
Yeah.
shitty things happen to get you out of your comfort zone sometimes too. Like being an athlete, you're just in routine doing what you've always been doing. And an injury, especially depending how long you've been in the sport, like injury just totally shakes your entire reality. You don't have practice anymore. You don't have, if it ends your career, you don't have your teammates anymore, which are easy friends, easy social life. Like you really have to break out of your comfort and your normal and figure out, like Garrett was saying, what other doors are open, what other opportunities, and maybe that injury happens because you're meant for more, meant for something different, you know?
Yeah, and just to domino off all of you guys too, because I could say my biggest life change was definitely in college, where growing up, I was always an athlete. I was going to play basketball for most of my life. I was pretty set on playing basketball pretty professionally. I was already playing professional in Mexico and this Chicano basketball league. I was in a club for most of my life too. And come college, I was really adamant on college. I was really always trying to be that super successful kid, always did everything to the T, did super well in school, did honors, did honor rolls too. And I was an athlete as well on top of that. So going into college, I was really a little bit nervous about it because I didn't want to fuck up. And once I came into a year of my college and I couldn't do college anymore, it really set me back a lot. And it really, you know, had a big life change on me. It had a big life effect. I had to take a step back, take a few steps back actually, and just reevaluate my life because since I couldn't go to college anymore and since I stopped doing basketball, I had to come back home, reevaluate my life, figure out what exactly I would like doing because I couldn't do basketball anymore professionally. Like that just set me back really badly. And I was just really hard on myself on it. It wasn't to an injury, just because I couldn't play in college anymore. So I was like, you know what? Let's figure out my game plan. Let's figure out what I actually like to do. Like you guys were saying, my home is now the gym. That's where I was all the time. And to go back into that and to have that safe space and to meet like-minded people really did help me out a lot. And I wouldn't change it for the world either. I would definitely, I'm very happy with where I'm at in life, and who knows where I would be in life if it wasn't for those changes, those hard changes, because those were definitely some tough decisions I had to make in life to get to where I'm at. But I'm very grateful for it. And that's how I got to meet all of you guys too.
I
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
feel with I feel like I stopped playing football on my own terms. Like I didn't really have like a injury or anything. Like went to college, just decided to stop playing, just didn't try out. But then I like fully reinvested all my energy into the gym, and like the gym was my whole identity. Like I just went every single day, probably went 7 days a week until I got hurt in the gym because that was my whole identity. And I realized that that blessing for me was figuring out how to reprioritize my identity, not just being like Micah who goes to the gym, like being a good boyfriend, now gonna be a good dad, being a good photographer, a good videographer, being better, like running the brand, building my relationships, instead of just prioritizing the gym every single day for the rest of my life. Like I feel like
Mhm.
I couldn't go on vacation without being upset if I didn't go to the gym, or there was just so many things that I was like taking away from my life from prioritizing the gym. And I feel like now just like building a better balance, I'm better off because of it.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I kind of
Heck yeah.
also want to bring up the idea of like timeline too, because for me, it's still something that I struggle with is kind of trying to set a time. And when it comes to injuries, for one, like doctors are always like, oh, this injury is going to take 12 months to recover from, 4 months to recover from. And so many people that are going through the process are like, well, I'm at month 6 and I'm still behind everybody else in the average of their recovery. Like, what's going on? There's like everybody kind of recovers differently physically, but you also recover differently mentally. Like I'm still in that process of trying to get through a lot of things and kind of getting to where I want to be. But I also know like in 5-10 years, I'm going to look at this time and be very happy and thankful for the fact that I'm trying to figure things out day by day and not just kind of giving up on my goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was it kind of reminds me of like a study I saw, and they had asked like something crazy, like 20,000 people who were like above the age of 70, like if what part of their life they would relive. And most of them picked like, you'd think they'd pick like early 20s, right? Or like teens, early 20s, something like that. College maybe. But no, most of these people picked like their late 20s into their like mid 30s, because for most people, that is when life is like the hardest. That is when like you're really having to define yourself as like a person, and you're having to like build your career, and you're doing like all the most stressful things are happening to you. Maybe you're having kids, right? Like that's when the most like adverse changes are happening in your life. And what's so funny about that, again, like you get to an age where you realize like, I guess, or you must realize that like those most challenging years are the best years. Those years when the stress is on and the pressure's on and things are constantly changing and it feels so scary are the years that people would choose to relive. Not like the, hey, I'm retired and I can travel all over the world. Those are not the years they would relive. They'd pick the, I'm in the smoking pot, and I'm having to like waft my way through. That's just so interesting.
I wonder
But
if that's just where they like feel like the most sense of like accomplishment, maybe. Not that you don't feel accomplished when you're older for sure, but I feel like, yeah, you're just constantly solving problems, constantly. So you constantly have the sense of accomplishment, right? I wonder if that's where that kind of comes from. Because yeah,
yeah.
it is kind of wild to think, yeah, I want to live through the hardest part of my life again.
Yeah. I mean, there must be something there too with like looking back. Like, why is it when people look back, that's what they pick? Because obviously most of these people are in like a more comfortable part of their life. Like they've reached that objective that they've always been pushing towards, which is like retirement or whatever. And then they look back and they say, this is what I want to relive. They're not picking their early 20s. They're not picking their teens when they're like the healthiest or the youngest. They're picking like the most stressful time.
For real, yeah, that's crazy to me. That makes me very curious, honestly. You should send me that study.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah.
I think that's also why we see like the most successful people are the ones who are always going for a new goal in some sort. Like you see football players who have won 3 championships and they're like, which one was the best? And someone will say the next one. Or uh, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a big one in this aspect where his book is all about like being useful. And in his whole time, it was when he was a bodybuilder, he was being useful in the sense of being at his peak physically to show other people that you can do that. And then it becomes a movie star because it says you can be kind of a movie star even if you come from nothing, have no background. And then he becomes the governor of California because he just wanted to be useful. So it's like that idea of like the people who are most successful are the ones who are constantly finding a new goal. They don't go, okay, I just got done with this show in September. Now what? It's like now I'm going personally for my next shows. Um, Athletes going for the next seasons, stuff like that. I think it's like the people who are constantly going after something else and continuing to put themselves through that hard time, the change, the difficult mental days, stuff like that, are the ones who are continually being successful and also on the back end a lot happier with their lives.
Yeah, true.
Thanks. Otherwise, I feel like, yeah, life just gets very complacent. Like, yeah, why just say you're cool, you accomplished this goal, you expect that to fulfill you for the next 40, 50 years? Like, no way. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also it's interesting because like with the brand, doing the rebrand, like so much change is happening here and it's so scary. But at the same time, there's a lot of things to be excited for. Like there's so many new things and new ideas that we can explore that we previously sort of were limited in and we couldn't really explore.
A great point, Jimmy. Not gonna lie.
It's like, yeah, it's like I would pick this almost the stress and the unknowns of like having the new brand over, I guess, the comfort of the old brand because we were in like a pretty good place, in terms of like sales and whatnot, but it just wasn't right. It wasn't quite the right
needed more.
environment.
Yeah.
Hmm. Did anyone else want to add anything? Abby, Jordan, Keanu, do you guys want to add anything, or do we want to jump to the next question?
I can add a little bit, I think.
Go ahead.
For me, the biggest thing was probably just going to the gym and just adding that as part of my life because there was this perception that everyone would see me, view me, like they'd be out to, okay, they'd look at me and go, okay, what the hell is she doing here kind of idea, that there's that perception of judgment all the time. So it was definitely one of the scarier things for me. And just, it was because of you're going into an unknown a lot of the time. And
Yeah.
being able to, reach out to a coach at the time and actually follow direction and have something tangible instead of I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to give up,
Mm-hmm.
was just more useful to take that step and actually go through it. So for me, that was my fire at the time of had to walk through it and go through it and continue to go through it and discipline myself even on the days I just didn't feel like it and was even more scared on certain days than others. But it ended up giving me a hell of a lot more confidence. I, speak up for myself more now, which is, a byproduct of everything that I've gone through. And funny enough, is actually the EOS that I went to before was where Micah was. That's where him and I met, and then this is where we are all now as well. So having met him before everything started, during my journey, there was that coincide there. So you never know who you're going to meet as well, and what that leads to. So being able to go through that, continuing to go through it, because I still have some reservations about some things, but it's not nearly as bad as when I first set foot into any gym for any reason. So for me, it was allowing the discomfort to be there, but not allowing it to control my decision and being okay
Yeah.
with being scared. Just again, I controlled that by making myself aware that yes, I feel fear, but I'm still going to go and do this thing. And then it's gonna lead where it's gonna lead, and just being kind of open for the change, positive and negative, which allows us for growth. So
Oh yeah.
I feel like the gym's just the perfect like overall example of all this too. Of like we go to the gym and we go through this pain and suffering and we physically break down our muscles. We literally destroy them and they come back stronger, bigger, better. Like the same thing. Yeah, it's almost like the same analogy.
yeah, and
It
not only
is.
that, but like even dietary stuff. Sorry to cut you off. It's for me, it was a huge deal upstairs because your body feels like you're cutting off things that it needs. So it's kind of like an addiction. So I had cut out a lot of sugar and such, and boy howdy, I had some days, but it led to, getting out of the addiction to certain foods at least, and to the certain habits. So it was, diet change was kind of a big deal too. It was coinciding with the working out, but it was another one of those challenges that I was like, okay, I just need to not allow my body to fully call the shots, with, allowing certain cheat meals, weaning off because not everybody can go cold turkey. If you can, great, do it. But the same time, that was just an additional challenge that was really hard at the time.
Yeah. And like just the fact that you stayed dedicated to those goals. I mean, again, it definitely sounds like it's led you into a better place.
Yeah.
There's so much value in that. Okay, well, I guess we could segue into kind of the next question. I'm just gonna skip some of it. We're gonna kind of go to the last one, which is, what would your future self thank you for changing right now? Being that we're kind of on that topic of uh making those scary changes. So like, what's one thing that your future self would thank you for changing if you made that change right now? Does anyone want to start it off?
Sorry, I'm thinking. That's a really hard
Go ahead.
My there's something that I tussle around with of like chronic fatigue, and I'm getting blood work back, and it's so something in my system is not systeming well, and I'm tired all the time. But sometimes that'll go into like procrastination into work, or excuses of why I can't get things done is because I'm tired. A future me will appreciate, and she already is, because this is something I've been working on the past month, is when I do feel good and I have the energy, I ride on that high. And then when I schedule, because I do have to schedule it now, the downtime, I do my best to not think about work related. If it pops up in my head, I'll be like, nope, now's not the time to get the creative juices, because I will go down a rabbit hole of like, just in my head, I'll be stuck in the position I am. So I won't leave for like an hour or two, but it'll be stuck in my head of, you got to go get this done. You could be doing this. You could be doing that. Oh, you could be editing something. Oh, the energy to do this. Oh, the energy to do that. And it's just exhausting when I could just be watching a movie with my family. So I think my biggest thing that my future self would help with and be benefit on is just rereading the question so I can make sure. Oh yeah, is just to schedule in me time, um, to get the creative juices flowing, to get other hobbies going that don't spark business thoughts. That'll be a big thing for me.
Heck yeah.
Great.
Heck yeah.
I can 100% relate with that, Danae. That was like kind of spot on for mine as well. It's definitely in the process of being worked on too. Just really reminding myself to take a step back and just look at my life as a whole. You know, don't become so laser focused on anything specific. Make sure everything in your life is going the way you want it to be.
Exactly. And then I also had to remember, like, I'm artistic too. So like it sometimes, well, all the time, it comes through social media or in the gym, or how can I be creative with client programming, or how can I be creative with somebody's programming in bodywork sessions so I can get the muscles to adapt the way I need them to, that it's exhausting. And then with that is just energy exertion, which it makes sense, but to be able to hone it into something else, like recently Frank and I bought a paint by numbers thing. It was so therapeutic to not have one single thought go through my head and just to be creative in a different way. So that was fun too, of just changing the creativity that I'm doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like that reminds me, I've been working with like a music teacher to improve my songwriting, and he keeps having me do just these such weird things to write songs, like listening to one song and singing to the beat of another song, or picking up an instrument that I've never played before and just like strumming it and seeing how I can like apply my poetry to that. It's interesting because yeah, like when you change that stimulus, when you change uh like whatever thing it is and just sort of shut the thought process off, like there it can unlock a lot of like, I guess it can unlock that flow state, and there's a lot of value in just being in the flow state.
It gets those other creative juices going. I love it. That's
Yeah.
crazy to listen to a song and have to hum the beat to it. That's like trying to wiggle each toe and lift it up off the.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the mental power to do that. So that's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, if I think about it too much though, it's horrible. Like it comes out so bad. Like I almost just have to go on autopilot when I'm doing it in a way.
Yeah, but even then, like, it takes your mind off of trying to make music so hard that you just make music without trying. It's like hacking the system.
Yeah. Interesting. Did anyone else want to add in? What would your future self thank you for?
I can add to this one. Honestly, for me, I would say something very similar to what you're saying. I mean, if you guys, I'm sure a lot of you know, I make music. I'm still learning as I'm, trying to increase the skills that I have going into this, but I have someone helping me, which is huge for me. Something that my future self would thank me for, I would say, is setting healthier boundaries for myself. So in terms of, physical health, mental health, recently I had to let go of, somebody that was just not good for me. It was leading me to not focus on myself and putting more focus towards on that person. And I'm sure, a lot of us have been led on in different ways with, if it, relationships, whatever. But now I'm at a point where I took the time to really think on what I was doing with myself and where I want to be in the future, because I'm 23 years old, and by the time I'm 25, 26, I want to be doing, music as a career. I want to be playing in front of people. That's just something that I see myself doing, and something I learned too is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's something I've struggled with for the longest time. Social media, a lot of you guys know I'm not the best with, but now it's definitely something where I know, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm limiting myself to 1, 2 posts a week now. And then also just trying to finish 1 song a month, 2 songs a month, and then just progressively increase with that. But I think we can all, I guess we could all s- what's the word?
Can all relate.
Relate to this.
I
Yeah.
can
And
definitely
so
relate.
Yeah,
that's kind of where
absolutely.
I'm at. It's just, and I've had good conversations with, a lot of you guys, JJ, Jimmy, Drew, Micah, and, you guys just always keeping me in check is something that I appreciate, because sometimes I don't even notice the things that's going on with me. And when you guys keep me in check like that, it's like, holy fuck, I really need to get some shit together. So it's just something that I've been working towards.
Okay, man.
I feel like that
Yeah,
even
brother.
ties into like the very first question of like almost just like constructive criticism. Like, yeah, it sucks right away to hear. It's not good to hear. Hate to hear it. Ultimately, yeah, let's just understand it's out of love. It's out of for a future version of yourself.
Exactly. It also just depends on how you take that information too. You can choose to react to it a completely different way and go down a different path, or you can just take that information and act differently and choose to take that information and act on it in a certain way to benefit your life rather than just sitting on it.
Man, I don't know what these guys are talking about, Keanu. I'm doing it for the future backstage passes, bro. I want the fucking VIP when you're at Gold Rush. You give me that VIP pass. This is why I'm giving you good advice now.
You're still rooting for his success.
Hey, you missed it at Sunbar, bro. He was already there.
But yeah, no, it's crazy too, because I've talked to Micah a lot about this. I've made connections with people I would have never thought I would get connected with. And it's crazy to me now that, like, I was going to a lot of these events just to go, but now it's more of a networking opportunity and getting myself out there. And I think that's just been huge for me. And so I'm taking every shot I get. Like, at this point, it's like, what do I have to lose? Everybody, a lot of people are trying to do it. It's like, might as well put myself out there too. And so that's
Oh, yeah.
that's just huge for
Would
me.
you say your future self thanks you for sticking to your goals, having integrity?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think more so just being comfortable with being, yeah, comfortable with uncomfortable, because yeah, that's just, like I said, something that's always been a little bit hard for me, especially with the social media part. But I'm at a point where, like, if you support me, you're supporting me. If not, cool, doesn't bother me. It's like I have nothing to lose.
I think like you definitely like this is a whole different conversation, but like your future self is also thanking you for the way that you're showing your new identity. Like instead of going to shows now to like drink or party or just have a good time or whatever, like you're going to these shows as Keanu the DJ who's going to network and make opportunity. And that's like I've been talking to a lot of people about this, about like how do you actually build the life that you want, is you have to make sure you show people the identity that you want too. Because if you go to things and you're networking and you're not, and I'm Micah, the dude that gets drunk, then that's all they're gonna know me as. They're not gonna know me as Micah the trainer or Micah the
Yeah.
videographer or Micah, whatever it is. Like you need to make sure that you're living by who you want to be, not just by going to drink or whatever it might be.
It's also a form of self-respect, holding those boundaries of not letting a significant other treat you a certain way, not letting a friend talk to you a certain way, because the future you would want people to come to you with respect when they have a concern or they have constructive criticism. The future you would come at people that way as well. They'll lead with love, whether they're telling bad news, and it's honesty. Like it is a form of self-respect to have, set boundaries with people. And like for me, if someone asked me the other day, what if somebody dips on you and doesn't pay you? And I was like, well, then I just don't work with them again. Yeah, I know it's going to happen and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't control what other people do, but then it's respect for myself that I'm going to only work with people that have respect for me and my time as well.
Yeah. Well, that was an awesome conversation that we jumped around quite a bit, but I think we really covered, like, really effectively covered, like, change and how it can be applied to, various different situations. We got about 5 minutes. I just wanted to also reiterate the events happening this Tuesday. Anyone in here that isn't already coming, please come. It'll be awesome. And then other than that, thank you so much to all of you guys. That was a phenomenal conversation. It's kind of nice having a smaller call. Like we definitely didn't market this call as much, but just having like a smaller group of people has been very cool because I feel like I can personally connect with like all of you guys. That being said, did we want to add anything else into the conversation? Micah, Drew,
Quick
any
question
other information?
for the
Go
event.
ahead.
Is it free to get into the gym? Frank's right here asking.
Yes.
Yes, babe.
We'll be there.
He'll be there. And then my event is Friday. This doesn't have anything to relate to mindset, but I just wanted to share in case you gym rats need help with your body. I'm collabing with my physical therapy to bring stretching, mobility, and massage with dry needling, and it's only a $10 increase from my current rates, which is insane. So that's Friday at my clinic. They're appointment only, but if you or anyone you know or any of your clients you work with, let me know if they need help. That'll help them a lot.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I actually have some of your business cards too, so.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's the physical therapist from ATP, Jimmy.
Oh heck yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I love those guys. They work with
Yeah.
the strongman people, and
Yeah, they're very nice.
they're the only people I trust to work with my back. So that says a lot.
Yeah. Okay, heck yeah. Well, I think that's everything then. Any other questions? Does anyone have any questions?
Not
About
a question,
anything?
maybe just an addition to the last bit of the conversation was be the person that you needed in certain times. Like, and that's if you needed to be have someone braver, have someone more confident, sometimes you need to be the one to take on that role. So that's where I would think like the future self would thank you for stepping in to a role. So have the confidence, have the bravery, set those boundaries like you guys are talking about, and have the self-respect. Just be like, you know what, I've got this, and just bring that forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much to all of you guys for being on this call. I think, are we meeting next Sunday?
Next
It is Mother's Day. Yeah, it's Mother's Day, but I believe we're still having a Zoom next Sunday, 2:00 p.m. If that changes, you guys will definitely get an email or a message of some sort. Yeah, thank you all.
Bye, friends.
That was a phenomenal call.
I want to end on take care of your tomorrow man. I read a little thing called Tomorrow Man Theory. You guys should read it. It's fantastic. but it's today man or tomorrow man thanks their today man. So do whatever it is today so that your tomorrow self can thank you for what you did today. Don't make your life harder tomorrow.
Preach,
Do it. Make tomorrow easier. Take care of your tomorrow man.
preach it, Dewey.
Woo!
Yeah, for real. Thank you,
guys-
everyone for showing
Let's
up.
have a kick-ass week, yo.
Preach.
Bye.
Preach.